Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Cassie Knoll, and this is your 10 Weather Impact Recap for the week. Let's start with a look at some of the biggest weather stories from across the country. A 7.0 magnitude earthquake shook Northern California last week. The earthquake struck Thursday morning off the coast of Humboldt County. People as far away as San Francisco could feel it. It also triggered a brief tsunami warning for hundreds of miles of the coastline from the Bay Area to southern Oregon. Reporter Liz Kreutz has more on the aftermath.
Cleanup is underway after a 7.0 earthquake jolted Northern California. The large trembler, which struck just before 11 Thursday morning off the coast of Humboldt County, prompting a brief tsunami warning for hundreds of miles of coastline from California's Bay Area to southern Oregon.
It's just like a warning, but it's still scary getting that notification.
Cities including Berkeley, Half Moon Bay, and Crescent City issuing immediate evacuation orders. This man heading to high ground from his home in Stinson Beach.
The probability is low, but I have no reason to take a risk of dealing with a big tsunami.
Within a few hours, the warnings lifted, but experts say it was a necessary precaution.
The fault is moving the seafloor, and if it moves vertically and displaces a lot of water, it can generate a tsunami.
The quake's motion turned out to be mostly horizontal, so it didn't move much water and didn't cause any significant damage or injuries. But those closest to the epicenter in Humboldt County had some cleaning up to do, with bottles and other items flying off shelves at this grocery store in Garberville and at this historic hotel in Ferndale, a door shaken off its hinges. Across the state in Chico, the quake making waves in this swimming pool.
This is a big one, guys.
Governor Gavin Newsom declaring a state of emergency for the area.
It's another reminder of the state that we live in and the state of mind that we need to bring to our day-to-day reality here in the state of California in terms of being prepared for earthquakes.
The quake comes nearly 2 years to the day after a 6.4 struck the same area in Humboldt County. 2 died and several buildings were damaged in that one. This time, many here thankful it wasn't worse.
Everybody I talked to, they were shaken up but not hurt.
It's a tight-knit community, so everybody's helping each other pick up and clean up, and on we go.
Meanwhile, down in Southern California, the National Weather Service issued a rare, particularly dangerous situation red flag warning because of strong winds and low humidity, which was in effect from Monday night through Tuesday afternoon. With the forecast conditions, explosive fire growth and extreme fire behavior are possible. Peak wind gusts reach more than 90 miles per hour in some areas. Emergency officials in Los Angeles warn people to be ready to evacuate quickly, and those strong Santa Ana winds are currently fueling a wildfire burning in Malibu. The Franklin fire started Monday night in Malibu Canyon. That fire spread on hillsides just a few miles from Pepperdine University. The school canceled all classes and finals Tuesday because of that fire, and students had to shelter in place overnight. But the fire danger had moved away from the university by Tuesday morning, though the power is still out for most of the campus. That fire is more than 2,200 acres in size with 0% containment. The flames have moved across the Pacific Coast Highway and are threatening structures. At least 6,000 people have had to evacuate. On the other side of the country, the lake effect snow totals have been piling up. 2 separate weather systems dumped over 5 feet of heavy, wet snow in parts of western New York, Pennsylvania, and northeast Ohio over the last week. People were stuck in their homes, schools were closed, and in some cases, trees and power lines, as well as roofs, collapsed under the weight of that snow. Now, officials are facing another problem: what to do with all the snow. Reporter Bryant McCrae reports from Ohio.
It's large snow amounts like this that city officials in Lake and Ashtabula County are keeping an eye on to watch for melting as the weather begins to get warmer.
The concern we would have now is with the temperatures increasing during the day, the snow's melting can create some isolated icy spots.
Robert Fowler, assistant city manager for the city of Mentor, says last week, parts of Lake County saw huge snow totals for the first time in nearly 2 decades.
This was probably the biggest snowfall we've seen since the early 2000s.
The snow accumulating throughout the county with limited places to store it.
Our biggest complaint that we received from residents: the snow had nowhere to go, and our snow plows were doing their best to keep the roads clean, but you have to deposit that snow somewhere.
The winter storm leaving its mark from Lake County to Ashtabula County.
Very frustrating. The unknown when it's going to quit, unknown when I can get to the grocery store, unknown if the ambulance could get to my house if they need it, or the fire truck.
Mike Fitchett, Director of Emergency Management in Ashtabula County, says the snow got so bad they needed to declare a state of emergency.
And then we have to go down and do damage assessment now. So we have to go around and look and see what's happened. And in many cases, there's building collapses, damage to gutters. We've had, we have a school out here that's pretty heavily damaged.
Now with warmer weather on the way, Fitchett says his team is preparing for an early thaw.
We wanted to warm up slow so this water has some place to go. And we don't have this instant rainfall where we're going to have flooding.
Emergency officials in Ashtabula say they are still looking at the damage to understand how much money they will need from the state or FEMA to fix what the storm broke.
Northeast Ohio is currently experiencing a brief warm-up with some rain, but colder air returns tonight, and Ashtabula County is currently forecast to receive up to another 6 inches of snow by the end of the week. December has started on a chilly note here in East Tennessee, and check out some of the beautiful sights that came with that cold air. This photo of a frosty spider web was taken by one of our own photojournalists, Dave Doonan, in Kingston. The web looks so delicate, and yet it's strong enough to hold the weight of all of that ice. And speaking of ice, check out these frost flowers from Monroe County. Jillian Edmonds took these photos on Wednesday last week when lows were in the teens. These ice formations are created when thin layers of ice are extruded from the stems of certain types of plants in late fall and early winter. The hair-like ribbons of ice curl and form petals, making them look like flowers made from frost. In the highest elevations of the Smokies, the LeConte Lodge received about 6 inches of fluffy snow last week. The winter caretaker shared these photos on the daily blog. Despite the sunshine over the weekend, trails are still icy and slick in places, and proper gear, including traction devices, is necessary if you plan to hike in the higher elevations this time of year. If you would like to enjoy updates and photos about the LeConte Lodge through the winter season, you can visit their website and check out the daily blog at highonleconte.com. Now, that cold Arctic air was also extremely dry, and the combination of very low humidity, ongoing drought conditions, and breezy winds created favorable fire conditions last week. That cold Arctic air was also extremely dry, and the combination of the low humidity, ongoing drought, and breezy winds allowed 3 brush fires to start Wednesday night in Sevier County. Around 30 homes in the Shagbark gated community were evacuated due to one fire in the Waldens Creek area. By Thursday afternoon, all fires were 100% contained, and residents were allowed to return to their homes. Forestry officials continue to monitor hot spots, but the rain we've had to start this week has certainly been helpful. Down in Chattanooga, fire crews battled a 10-acre fire on Lookout Mountain. The fire was first reported Saturday on the eastern slope of Lookout Mountain in the Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park. As of early Sunday afternoon, the fire was 100% contained, but the fire did damage the Lookout Mountain Incline Railway. The flames caught the railroad ties on fire, and the National Park Service says that about a quarter of those rails will have to be replaced. In western North Carolina, high winds downed power lines and sparked 2 fires in McDowell County last Thursday. The Newberry fire was quickly contained, but the Buck Creek fire grew to over 500 acres over the weekend. Officials say the fire is about 75% contained, and favorable weather conditions, aka rain, will help them continue to make progress. These fires are in areas that were damaged by Helene. As communities are still cleaning up after Hurricane Helene, WBIR partnered with Walmart and the FBI Citizens Academy alumni to bring a little Christmas cheer to students in counties that were hit hard by Helene. This weekend, members of the community and our WBIR family handed out toys at Edgemont Elementary School in Cocke County. The gym was packed with families hoping for a little Christmas cheer. We also distributed toys in Unicoi and Greene County. One Cocke County Schools employee says the number of people volunteering was heartwarming.
The amount of volunteers that are here is amazing. Our chief of police for the city is here volunteering his time. Our sheriff for our county is here volunteering his time. We've got nurse practitioners here in the community that serve our kids every day here, serving, handing out gifts and helping them shop.
Together, you, our viewers, donated more than 2,000 toys. Those toys are now bringing Christmas joy to kids who might not have received gifts otherwise and who are still putting their lives back together after the hurricane. Another community member says the experience was moving.
The kids are going to have smiles on their faces. I helped one grandmother who has 6 grandchildren that she's raising, and she and I were both in tears because she said without this toy drive, her grandchildren would not have Christmas.
The rest of the toys will be given out in the affected counties over the next week. They will be available to families who missed the event last weekend and whoever else may need them. While daylight hours are still decreasing, our sunsets are starting to get later. We are currently experiencing our earliest sunsets of the year at 5:21 p.m. in Knoxville. But beginning Thursday, those times will start to get later. Now, the shortest day of the year occurs on December 21st with the winter solstice, marking the start of astronomical winter. However, our latest sunrises won't happen until early January. This difference in the timing of the sunrises and sunsets is due to our planet's tilt on its rotational axis and the elliptical shape of the Earth's orbit around the sun. And the full moon will rise this Friday night. It won't technically be full until just after 4 a.m. Saturday morning, so it will look full again on Saturday night. The origin of the name seems pretty obvious. It gets cold in December, so that's why it's the cold moon. As of now, it looks like we might have some cloud cover in our skies when that moon rises on Friday. And now let's get a quick look at our forecast. We have a system moving through the area now, bringing us some rain. But by Wednesday morning, that moisture may still be in place when the cold air arrives, and we could even see some snow flurries in some areas, both Wednesday morning and maybe again Wednesday evening after sunset. Breezy winds will make temperatures that are steady or falling from the 40s to the 30s even feel like the 20s, so be prepared to bundle up across the area after having highs in the 70s on Tuesday. Thursday is going to be another cold day with highs staying in the 40s despite the sunshine. Then we have a little bit of a warming trend back up above average for the weekend, but we'll be watching our next system to possibly bring some rain chances in later in the day on Saturday and into Sunday. You can always get the latest forecast in the palm of your hand on the 10 News app. It's free to download in the App Store.